Chapter 1. Understanding the World of Dog Training. A young couple, Mike and Jill, adopted their beautiful 2-year-old white German Shepherd from a rescue. Mika was extremely sweet and well-behaved unless she was left home alone. If Mike and Jill left her, she would whine and bark so severely they feared she might go through a window. Mika also barked at dogs when she passed them on walks. Before coming to me, they had worked with a trainer claiming to be an expert with German Shepherds. The 2 main pieces of advice they received from that trainer were they had to use a choke chain to control her because the neck was the strongest part of the dog's body. They needed to get a nanny cam that allowed them to yell at her when she whined when they were gone. This supposedly mimicked God. Fortunately, Mike and Jill realized that these suggestions did not seem right and continued to search for another trainer. That is when they found me. I could not believe this advice, and regrettably, they paid a lot of money for it. Sadly, I often hear of trainers giving advice that appears made up with no real theoretical or scientific basis. In most places, at least at the time of the printing of this book, becoming a dog trainer requires no formal training or education. Therefore, uneducated trainers dispense a lot of misinformation. This is sad because in the last 20 years, our scientific understanding of how dogs think, learn, and feel has greatly expanded. We no longer have to guess at what training methods are most effective. Based on the scientific data, we can examine both how traditional training works and how positive reinforcement training works, as well as how these trainings impact dogs. In particular, we now have enough information to understand how the use of pain and force negatively impacts a dog's ability to learn as compared to positive reinforcement-based techniques. To understand these differences, we must first understand how these 2 training methods work. Let's begin by looking at the theories behind traditional training and positive reinforcement training and their origins. Traditional, correction-based training. The basic philosophy of traditional trainers is to correct any unwanted behavior, often using a leash correction or POP, and then praise the appropriate behavior. For example, a traditional trainer may ask a dog to sit. If the dog continues to stand, an unwanted behavior, the trainer will administer a correction/punishment using a leash pop. Leash corrections then will continue until the dog does the wanted behavior by sitting. Shock collars are another tool often used by traditional trainers to achieve this result. The trainer then may praise the dog for sitting, but this does not always happen. When a dog is resisting known behaviors, traditional trainers often tell their clients that the dog is challenging their dominance in the relationship and that the dog needs more discipline. They encourage handlers to become strong pack leaders or to become the alpha of their pack. This often means increasing the intensity and duration of the corrections until the dog submits. Some trainers go as far as recommending giving little or no affection or rewards at all during this process to reinforce the handler's dominance over their dog. Correction-based traditional trainers' quotations. Quote, "If you give your dog nothing but affection, then you're combining the lack of exercise problem with a lack of discipline and creating a situation in which your dog will take over the pack. Provide exercise and affection with no discipline, and you'll get a dog that will never listen to anyone." Unquote. Cesar Millan. Quote, "The bottom line is adopting a dog at 4 years old with a history of chasing critters, ignoring commands, pulling on leashes, barking at external stimuli is going to be hard to impossible to reprogram with food rewards alone." Unquote. Ed Frawley. The origins of traditional training. As I mentioned in the foreword, I trained my first dog using both a choke chain and traditional training methods. Even as a teenager, I was uncomfortable with the harsh treatment. However, more than 20 years ago, correction-based training was what most trainers used, and people had been using these techniques for a very long time. Many consider a German trainer named Colonel Konrad Most to be the father of modern traditional training. He authored a book entitled Training Dogs, a Manual in 1910. Colonel Most had a military background. He started training dogs while serving as police commissioner at the Royal Prussian Police Headquarters in 1906. He later trained military dogs
to keep listening to this audiobook. I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.